Again, it's May the 3rd, bank holiday Monday, May Day, and I'm going to get on with putting my spuds in. It's been particularly cold and a bit weird this year, so I've been really reluctant to put many things out. And so this weekend though, I got sort of overloaded in the greenhouse and there was plenty of things that had to come out, so I've built frames ready for, I've put the peas, Monge 2 and some purple sweet peas there as well, and now I'm doing the potatoes. So I have in this bag, I've got some second earlies to go in. There's a big difference between a first early and a second early, and then main crops. So first and second earlies are basically what they call determinate varieties. That's something I'll cover a bit more when we look at their cousins, the tomato plant. Main crops are indeterminate, so that basically means that if you keep earthing them up, in theory they will continue to produce. It's an indeterminate length of time that you can keep them cropping, whereas firsts and seconds it's a little bit more determinate. So, but with firsts and second earlies, they always need a little bit of encouragement to get them going. So that's the chitting process that you hear about. You don't actually have to do that with main crops. Main crops are the farmer's choice, so it would be ridiculous to try and chit all the main crop potatoes that are going to go in a field. So they don't do it that way, and main crops are used for that purpose. So I've followed an old guy's advice just because it was so cold, and I just wanted to try this out. And instead of just chitting your first or second earlies, pot them on, grow a little plant, and then you can plant them up, just carefully cover it over and get them earthed up. Begin the whole process that way. At least you've got them off to a head start. So I will probably, in one of these bags, if you can see, which I think are really good, these little bags, definitely worth the investment, but you can use old compost bags, make some holes in the bottom. If you want to do a lot of potatoes, a whole builder's bulk bag I've done once before, that's quite crazy, but I will put just 2 of those in there. Sort of rough rule would be the less seed potatoes you put in there, the bigger the potatoes will be that you harvest, kind of the rough rule. So, and another trick, so this is what I use to earth them up. It's basically green grass clippings mixed with compost, and the reason for that is the green grass clippings help raise the acidity, which is really good for solan and tuberosum in potatoes. They absolutely love it, really acidic. It also means that the tubers that form the potatoes, sometimes you get what's called scab, which is like a kind of a bacterial sort of kind of growth on the outside. It's nothing to worry about, it's just the skin goes a bit funny. Keeping the acidity up means you won't have scab, and it acts as an excellent water retention, which is brilliant because potatoes will stop producing tubers when they go dry. So that's a top trick. Now I'm also going to do some main crops. Now, despite what I said that you don't have to chip them, these I bought sort of 50% off in the garden centre purely because they've all sprouted. Now I could just rub those off and not worry about it and just plant them up like that, but maybe that one is a bit over the top, because you see this is where it wants to make a potato, and because it's not in the soil you risk not having a potato there. So, but I'm just going to put them in it anyway because they need to go in. built my frame for my peas. I've got purple Monge 2 in there and some purple sweet peas because I really like sweet peas, and I thought, well, why not grow the two together? Rather nice. Now it's important to have a really decent, sturdy frame. It's not too bad. So yeah, quite pleased with that. So now here are my onions. These were sets that were sown, planted into multi-cell trays just to encourage growth, get them rooted, put in, cool, very early this year. They've done exceptionally well actually. What I'm really pleased about is they've actually started to fatten up now, so I would say a good couple of months, and some of these are going to be really good. I've got seed sown ones over there, which interestingly will probably end up being roughly the same size by the time these are ready as well. A little bit later actually. But I'm going to show you the ancient art of spooning. So if you want to encourage slightly bigger growth, you can do just clean a little bit away, and that'll just give them a little bit of room just to fatten up. Not too much, but you know, that's what show growers do. And again, my wife has been very busy in here tidying up, which is absolutely fantastic because I'm pretty bad at keeping things tidy, but you can see that that is nicely arranged. And out here in the ladies' garden, we're all planted that rather nicely. This is a giant red mustard thing, and a lot of bits of spring onions, you can see. Komatsuna, Mizuna, a whole load of lettuce, and a whole load of rocket. So they're cousins, the tomato plant, or Solanum lysopersicum. Take a look at this one. This is a indeterminate variety. It's a cordon, so this will keep growing up, and just like its cousin the potato, it has the ability to put out roots from its stem once it comes into contact with soil, which is something we want to take advantage of as they're growing. With indeterminates, you really do want to take out the side shoots. This gives you much more controlled growth. Now these are bushes or determinates. So a bit like the first earlies and second earlies, they will grow in a predictable fashion. We don't need to prune them. They will pretty much crop in a shorter period of time, and these are used quite commonly in the tomato canning industry. Now, despite their similarities, there are obviously some big differences. Solanum tuberosum, Solanum lycopersicum. Now, all of the growth below the ground with a potato is edible. The growth above the ground with a tomato, obviously the fruits we're well aware of, but you may be less aware of the fact that actually all of the leaves are edible too. In fact, they actually make a very nice pesto, kind of lemony sort of pesto. It's quite nice. The top growth, however, with a potato is highly toxic. Now, Solanum is the Nightshade family. So obviously, you know, deadly nightshade. Well, the same nasty toxins that are present in deadly nightshade are in abundance in the top growth of a potato. In fact, if you leave the potato itself exposed to too much sun, it will go green, and that is an indication of the fact that it has developed an awful lot of toxins. Interesting potato fact: in 1996, I think it was, there's a Food Safety Act for toxicity, that sort of thing. If the potato was discovered after 1996, it would be illegal for sale. There's around about 20 odd people or something like that a year that die from eating too many green potatoes. You need to eat quite a lot, so they're strange people, to be honest. So it's probably more than shark attacks. My son was telling me the other day that actually more people die every year from coconuts falling on their head than shark attacks. probably more than eating green potatoes. But it's worth noting because the little tiny fruits that set on the flowers of the potato plant quite often are commonly mistaken by little children, that sort of thing, even dogs, and munched on, and quite a common cause of poisoning. Interestingly, you can graft this onto the top of that. It's called a pomato, or I suppose a tomatato. Apparently you don't really get an incredible yield from the top growth because both of them are trying to perform, but an interesting space saving idea, and if you're inclined and you have the ability and the skill, worth a little go. But well, there you go, that's the Solanums for you. So that's my little video on spuds and spooning. If you have any questions, please just in the comments, or find me on Facebook and Instagram. And if there's anything you'd actually like me to do a video on and talk about, then please do ask. But thank you for watching. Toodaloo.